Welcome to Reshair on ESPN 730. For the next hour, your host, Chris Reshaar, will bring fresh air to your financial needs. Excite, educate, and empower you to make sound financial decisions. Chris is a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant with Movement Mortgage, equal housing lender, originator license number 117266. Now, here's your host, Chris Reshaar.
Welcome to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshaar, licensed loan officer with Movement Mortgage. If you've never tuned into Reshair Radio before, this is your first time, welcome to our show. Hopefully you will find that you will gain great information and knowledge. The show really is about helping Charlotteans make good financial decisions, whether it's related to real estate, mortgage finance, taking care of your home, taking care of your credit, whatever it might be. So we've got a great show here this morning here in downtown Charlotte that we're going to be sharing with you. So let me just sort of jump in here. I would like to take a minute to introduce, we've got several guests that are going to be featured today, two expert contributors who are on my show on a regular basis that kindly sponsor Reshair Radio, and then one guest that will be here in the studio for the first time. So what I'd like to first do is introduce our first guest. His name is Adam Kunda with National Credit Care. Adam, are you on the line here this morning from Denver?
Chris, I am. Good morning. How are you?
Awesome. It's a great Sunday morning as always.
Yep, I've got my coffee poured. I'm actually going to be going for a nice hike today, so I'm excited.
Awesome. So, well, we're looking over the city here. It's a beautiful view here from Moorhead Street. But Adam, why don't you tell us, we have you come on our show on a regular basis. You work with a lot of the clients that we deal with that may have some credit challenges. Why don't you tell our listeners or speak to our listeners, brief a little bit about what you do, who National Credit Care is, and then we'll sort of run in with your theme that you'd like to share with us this morning.
Okay, great. Chris, obviously thank you for having me. As always, Preston and Kathleen, thank you for being on the show as well. I help with credit. I'm a credit counselor. I'm not specifically helping settle with debts or anything like that, but I work under the credit scoring model in the mortgage industry, the credit score that you're using to approve and deny your clients, Chris. So I study the models. I try and figure out if we can prescribe information that's going to more strengthen up this client's credit score. And I also do have a specialized process where I am working with the client and the creditor to try and alleviate some of the negative and erroneous information that's on the report. So we are a full-service credit repair firm that tries to get people approved for mortgages specifically. So that's what I do, Chris.
Yeah, and you've helped a number of my clients over the years, and sometimes it's literally just a minor issue that the client is struggling to figure out how to get it removed. Maybe it was something that was erroneous, that didn't belong to them. And somehow, you and your firm have more, the expertise. There's no other way to say it, to just go, oh, here's how we do it. This is the form the government requires. This is how we get it off. And
Correct.
Things happen. And so my nickname is the mortgage genius, but the last thing that I am is the credit genius, right? So that's
and again, the last thing I am is the mortgage genius.
There's only one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you bring up a lot of good points. There's so many different ways and different types of information that we could go read on how to fix this credit or how the credit model actually works. And to be honest, a lot of the things I actually read are confusing. They're misleading. It's a very exacting model that you and I work under, Chris. So, we're needing to look at a situation and prescribe information based off of that situation versus just some generic suggestion on how we could get the credit score up. You know what I mean?
Right. So why don't you share some of those differences maybe between the services that you provide as a company that has expertise in this area versus maybe a generic tip?
Yeah, no, for sure. One of the biggest things we always like to start out with is where to get a report. And Chris, obviously we know that clients can come to you at no charge and get a free credit report that's an actual credit report with a mortgage credit score on there that's graded for the financial industry. So, if you are listening and want to start the process, very, very easy to call up Chris and start to get that report on file so that we can take a look at it and see where we need to go. But I don't know if
I'm going to jump in here, Adam. The funny part is that I'll get the phone call saying, well, Credit Karma or another service, it doesn't matter, says my score is, do you think you can get me a mortgage? And then they don't want me, the professional, to look at their score or their credit, right? And
Yeah,
it's kind of
a
hard
funny
to
situation.
do what I need to do for you if I'm not looking at the report. So why not start with the mortgage professional, whether you're working with Team Reshatar at Movement Mortgage or not? Start
Sure.
with a mortgage professional if you want to buy a home, you want to refinance your home, get your score looked at that way. And your loan professional will have good information for you and be able to guide you properly.
Yeah, and let you know what you can afford, so you're not overextending the budget. Things like that are definitely important. So yeah, getting these reports are important from a mortgage office, so that way we know where we're at. And Chris, how many times have you heard this statement? And maybe some of the listeners can identify with this, where they say, "Hey, don't pull my credit. I don't want you to hurt my credit score."
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So for the listener, just please be advised, it's not costing you too many points to be pulling credit at a mortgage office. Usually we're costing about 2 or 3 points off of the credit score, which would be equivalent to maybe adding $50 balance to your credit card this week. You'd lose the same amount of points. So, if you are looking to start the process, it's not too difficult. Call Chris. We'll pull a report and kind of go through that with you. It's also a good thing to just understand we're talking about mortgage reports here. So mortgage reports are very different than if you're going and applying for a car loan today. A auto-generated or auto credit score is going to be very different weights and models than what we would use in the mortgage industry. And I know a lot of the times when I'm doing seminars, Chris, I get the question, well, my Discover statement or my Capital One statement is telling me my credit score. Now, those are your credit card credit scores. So there's many industries that FICO, who is the financial grader of credit, actually grades. So we're grading mortgages, autos, credit cards, and they actually do some credit scoring in the insurance industries as well. So if you're not in one of those industries, you're not sitting down with a financial institution essentially saying, give me some debt. You're going and getting a different credit score, which is not a FICO credit score. So some of these scores that we see are very misleading for the client.
Very good. That's another great tip. I appreciate you sharing that. So
Sure.
any other sort of experience or knowledge you want to share as we have our listeners understand why it is really important to work with a professional?
Yeah, it's more so just giving you guys some things that are maybe shockers to you, some things that are surprising to you. So I would say if we asked 100 people today, and you can maybe ask yourself this question, if you paid off a collection, what is the impact of paying off that collection to your credit score at the time that you make the payment? I think most logically, and the answer I get in my seminar would be, do you know what that is, Chris?
Well, the answer would be it's going to hurt your score most likely.
It's going to hurt the score, but most people are going to say that it's going to help the score, which would make logical sense. You're settling on a debt, and you see the score go up. So if you are getting ready for home purchase and have been paying off these collections, you might not be too pleased with the credit score that you get from your mortgage lender because it's making new activity on this debt, and therefore it's actually making the score go down, which is not friendly to us. So
it's basically putting fresh activity on a negative item, right? It was starting to get old, and now that old item is now fresh. I always tell people it's like that wound was broken open again, and now it's got to start healing all over again.
Exactly, picking the scab, I guess, right?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're making efforts to fix it. It just seems. Yeah. I agree. I mean, I'm not disputing what you say. I totally agree, but it just seems wrong.
I agree. So that's what happens. People go to their mortgage lender, and sometimes the lender's not even skilled enough to go look for these specific action items that the client's been doing over the last few months. So Chris and I work very closely to make sure that the report that we're seeing, is gone through with professional eyes. Both him and I will take a peek at that report and figure out what's the best way to do this. What's the best prescription? How long is this going to take, and how much this is going to cost? If you are looking to use my service, we don't really charge, an arm and a leg. We're on a monthly billing structure of only $69 a month. So for professional guidance, for somebody to help you do this so you don't have to pull your hair out doing it yourself, give me a call, 720-556-1959, and I'd be more than happy to help give you a full free analysis of what's going on.
Adam, give us that number one more time so that our listeners can grab you if they need to.
Yes, sir. It's 720-556-1959.
Perfect. Any other words of wisdom? We got about 2-3 minutes in our segment left.
Pay your bills on time. I mean, pretty much. That's the easiest thing we can do. I mean, realistically, the bulk of our credit score comes down to positive information. So, we got to make sure that we're paying bills on time. There's so many things that we can do to hurt our credit score. But if we are focusing on maximizing our positive information, having the available types of credit that they're asking for on the report, then we can start to build up a robust score. And that's one of the things I help out with, hugely with the clients, is just separating what to do, what not to do, and make this so much easier for you. Average turn time typically, Chris, 6 to 9 months. I think we see on most of the files we're getting back to you. And we've been doing this for 6 years with you, so it's not something that's due for you and I to be doing together.
Absolutely.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Sure.
By the way, listeners, Preston Sandlin is one of our contributors here. He's didn't get through the full intro here yet, but go ahead.
No, that's fine. Well, Adam, I got a question. Sure. Way back when I first started, in college, got like my first credit card. I mean, I was denied all over the place because I didn't have any credit, and I finally got that first Citibank $500 card or whatever.
That was exciting.
Yeah, and I think I initially had a low credit score because I had so many inquiries trying to get a card. But I was told, and this was, I'm 48 years old, so this was a long time ago. I was told at the time to go buy stuff and pay it off to improve my credit score. So what would you say to somebody out there who's in need of improving their credit score? How could they do that?
So just from a credit card standpoint, usually the easiest way to get a better credit score is to look at that situation. So if you don't have a card, obviously we need to go get one. And really, if you do have a card or are getting one, I always recommend the lower the balance is going to equivalent a higher credit score. So I'm always trying to get my clients to understand that 1 to 2% of the limit. That's what I want to see the balance at. So if you had that $500 card, I'd be asking you to charge $5 to $10 on that card on a monthly basis. It's not about how much you're buying. It's about how in control of yourself are you while you're making this purchase. Are you $10 in debt, or are you maxing that out at $500 every month? So they would actually like to see you not max it out at $500. A higher risk for them if you're doing so, even if you are having good payment history on that.
Okay. I wish it was still $500. Wish my wife's was just $500.
And I guess like you're saying too, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to get approved for a credit card with a bad credit score or just with a lack of credit. So there are secured card options. You can go to your local bank, or I could always give you a few options that I recommend that are pretty much guaranteed approval. You just have to give like a $300 security deposit to the financial institution to work off of that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Awesome. This has been great stuff, Adam. I know we'll have you back on the show again to share more of your knowledge and expertise. Give our listeners your number one more time in case they need to utilize your services, and we're going to wrap up for our first break, but we'll be back.
Thank you, Chris. Again, my name's Adam Kunda, National Credit Care, 720-556-1959. Have a great Sunday.
Awesome. Thanks for being on, and listeners, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know it has been reported that an estimated 80% of Americans have credit inaccuracies on their credit reports? Most people that have either inaccuracies or existing items that can be negotiated or adjusted do not know what their best score could be until they have found a new home, or buying a new car, or applying for a credit card. Then it's too late, and they have to accept a higher interest rate or lose the opportunity altogether. The time to work on improving your credit score is before you need it. Whether you have a 440, 640, or even a 740 FICO score, there is always room for improvement. The National Credit Care Team is comprised of individuals dedicated to helping the millions of consumers plagued by credit inaccuracies, errors, and fraud. It is our mission to help inform consumers and alleviate the stress of working with creditors and credit bureaus. Together, we can maximize your scores to get the best interest rates possible and save you money. Call now, 303-747-6390. That's 303-747-6390. Or visit us at www.nationalcreditcare.com.
When choosing an insurance agency, you want a company you can trust. We are an independent insurance agency that can protect your personal assets, including your home, your business assets, as well as health and insurance needs. A true one-stop solution provider. We do not work for an insurance company. We work for you. As an independent insurance agency, our duty is to our clients' best interests. It is our responsibility to provide you the best service and the best coverage at the best possible price. You will have the added benefit of working with agents who understand your needs. After visiting our website, we will schedule an exploratory appointment to discuss your specific needs. Please visit our website at www.movementinsurance.com. That's www.movementinsurance.com.
Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshaar. I'm a licensed loan officer with Movement Mortgage. As always, I'm supposed to, at least during one time in the show, give you my credentials, meaning that I'm licensed, actually. My license number is 117266, and Movement Mortgage is an equal housing lender. So if you weren't listening to our segment as we open the show, we just had Adam Kunda from National Credit Care talk about some generic tips versus working with an expert in terms of improving your credit. What I'm going to do now is sort of shift our show direction and introduce two additional guests I have here in the studio with us this morning. Preston Sandlin is here from Home Inspection Carolinas. I always call him a repeat offender. He is one of our sponsors of Reshair Radio, good friend, amazing marketer. Preston, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chris. I appreciate being here with you and Kathleen.
Awesome. And then let's go to Kathleen. We also have Kathleen Mclain here from Remax Executive. Kathleen, 17 years licensed in North and South Carolina. Wow, impressive.
Oh, well.
And welcome to the show.
I started at the year Y2K.
Y2K is when you started. Cool.
So I knew Kathleen too,
you knew
he can vouch for me.
Yeah,
he could.
She's been there.
Preston, why don't you tell our listeners just briefly a little bit about what you and your company provide to our Charlotte area people?
Sure.
Or the whole state, seems like.
Well, buying a home is probably the biggest investment of most people's lives. And I think it's the best investment because of all the tax and, the equity. That's what, but it's all great. But when they buy it, they don't want to, most of the time people kind of stretch a little bit to get into it, as you know.
Yep.
And so they don't want to buy it and then all of a sudden be hit with, you got to have a new furnace or a new roof for, $6,000, $7,000 they were not expecting. And a lot of times, we inspect the house for somebody, they're really, we want that American dream to stay American dream and not an American nightmare. So our job is to protect people and give them an education to a degree. And sometimes people are buying a fixer-upper. They just need to know what they're buying. And, and I just love helping people with their dream. That is the American dream to own a home. And I love to be a small part of it.
Cool. Well, I think you definitely are, and you've made your mark on Charlotte. We appreciate, the services that you provide to the real estate community, and as always here on the show. We've got some great topics that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. Okay. So Kathleen here with Remax, want to kind of introduce you since you've never been on our show before. So why don't you tell us, how did you really get started as a realtor?
All right, so I had been in ladies' apparel for 16 years before, and that involved a lot of travel. And But
you looked really good, right?
Absolutely.
Did you get the discount on the apparel?
And I had my first son, and I obviously wanted to be closer to home. I could no longer do all that travel.
Okay.
A couple of my girlfriends were in real estate, doing really well, and I just got interested from actually their enthusiasm about their work.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And what would you say you like most about being a realtor or in the real estate industry?
I love working. I love the people. I love working with the people, and I become, friends with people for years and years through the work, and it always blows me away because, kind of people from all socioeconomic levels, all backgrounds. I'm just interested in what makes them tick and what their story is and what their dreams are. So,
when we were sort of preparing and invited you as a guest on the show, you had mentioned that you develop a love affair with each one of your clients. And I thought, wow, that's cool. That's just a great perspective. And I just thought that was really cool. That really, jumped out at me because I've never, I hear people say, well, it's great to help create the American dream, but that was cool.
Yeah. Well, it's intimate, helping someone find their sacred space. And I'm a heart-centered person. And, so I think
that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I always think of that song, Our House in the Middle of Our Street, because that is where that's going to be the hub or the glue of all the family activity and all the pictures and all the memories are going to be, that's the glue, and you're helping them find that spot.
That's right. So cool. So why don't you tell us, we've been, gosh, I can't even hardly tell. I think we're coming up, or if we're not already there, on our 2 years of running the show here in Charlotte. When we were doing it a couple of years ago, it seemed like the market is hot. What's your perspective on real estate here in Charlotte? If it's the same, different, what are you seeing?
Well, Charlotte is growing fast. I heard on Charlotte Talks radio show a couple weeks ago that there are 44 people a day moving into the city limits of Charlotte.
Wow, 44 a day.
44 a day, and so it is growing fast, and it is a seller's market for the most part. But location, price, and condition, those are the three biggies in the business, and those things really do matter. So
location matters, folks. You've heard it for the first time here on our show.
Well, and condition does too. All three of them, and that's my expertise is condition, and we can talk about that later. But there's still Charlotte is still a very reasonably priced market.
Right.
I agree. Yeah. When I hear. Because like you, Kathleen, I'm qualifying clients that are coming in from all across the country, and we get pretty intimate on the loan side, right? Asking about how much they make and how much they save or how much they don't save, whatever it might be, right? But yeah, coming from the other markets, just saying, gosh, what they're paying for homes and how much it costs they get here. And for the most part, they're pretty pleased with, especially if they're coming from out of state, what they can get for their dollar here in Charlotte. And with it being such a nice town, beautiful town. So. Well, perfect. So what I'd like to do is sort of slide into sort of our theme, and really just from a real estate agent perspective and the service that you provide, you really don't just help them sell or buy, but you kind of help them with the staging component, which is a little bit different than a lot of the realtors that may contract that out, if you will, or recommend other service providers. So Kathleen, why don't you tell us, how did that sort of happen? With you being a real estate agent, that's not necessarily a component that a lot of realtors really include in their scope of services.
Right. Well, so I mentioned that I'd been in the fashion industry. So, right. I already had a lot of experience with color and having things beautiful and scale and so, when I first started in the real estate business, I heard this funny little saying: if you can smell it, you can't sell it.
I like that.
And, and people just, people are living their lives in their form of perfection. So there's nothing wrong with the way people live in their homes, but often there was, we're talking about odors. So dog odors or pet odors or people that smoke or people that cook with a lot of garlic or curry, know. Right. And so, I had to educate people about that. And then it just, and then
it kind of morphed, sounds like.
Right. Into the whole thing. So, I would notice that people could not help themselves. And so at that time, I started giving the advice, and then, I noticed that just people just didn't have a knack for it, and I just jumped in.
Yeah. You've got some of that take control director in you too, which makes for a good agent. So what I'm going to do is sort of help our listeners, since we've sort of laid out steps for our listeners to learn in terms of how you can help them. Really, step one, really, in terms of working with Kathleen on the staging side, in addition to the real estate side, is really, it's never too early to call Kathleen in the process if you're thinking about getting ready to sell your home and thinking about making changes, because we're definitely in that HGTV sort of millennia, if you will, where people see it on TV, they get excited about it, and they think either I'm going to do it if I'm going to stay in this home because I just bought it, that you help them with, or I'm getting ready to sell this home. What do I do first? You say it's never too early to call. Give me some examples that you've experienced.
All right. So a while back, I got a call to go list a home. Mm-hmm. And I met with the people, it was a beautiful home, upscale, over $500,000 home. Nice. And
Cool.
I walked in and my heart just sank. The whole house was painted pink.
Okay.
Okay. You know,
Was Pink the owner of the home?
she was not.
Okay.
And we are not in Hollywood.
Okay.
So anyway, you
You
know,
have to have a tough conversation.
I had a tough conversation, and they pushed back because you could still smell the pink paint.
If you can't smell it, you can't sell
You
it.
can't sell it. That's right.
And so, you know, we went on, and I really couldn't convince them. But who did convince them were the buyers who came through, and
Feedback.
didn't buy
Said,
the house.
love the house, but.
Yeah. So, you know, after, you know, pulling some teeth out, they finally repainted, and honest to goodness, 2 weeks later, the house sold. So, you know, that's an example. Call me first. I am fabulous with color. And, you know, and again, colors matter. Styles change. You know, right now, the trend in color is our soft grays.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Well, there you go. So staging tip number one really is call Kathleen if you're thinking about selling your home, and let's get her in there and help you have that home. Even if we're selling in a year, she'll come out and help you out with that. Step number two is really just set up a stage or decorating consultation, right? So if you're getting serious, you've called Kathleen. She's going to come out and really do a consultation with you. So Kathleen, we really kind of have to take a quick break. So I think maybe what we'll do is we'll take a quick break and we'll jump into what does your staging and decorating consultation appointment look like. Is that cool?
that sounds great.
Awesome. So again, if you're just tuning in or you've been listening to our segment, I'm Chris Reshatar, your show host of Reshair Radio. If anything of interest sort of piques your interest really, and you want to give us a shout, my number is 704-277-4463. I'd be happy to connect you with any of the professionals we have here in the studio this morning. Again, that number is 704-277-4463. Host of Reshair Radio, Chris Reshatar. Stay tuned. We'll be right back for the next segment.
Sports fans know that the key to winning the big game is going in prepared. Right now, houses are selling fast. So if you're in the market for a new home purchase, don't just be prepared, be Movement Mortgage prepared. Charlotte's leading mortgage lender, Chris Reshatar at Movement Mortgage will tee you up with a free, fully underwritten upfront pre-approval. Shop for the home of your dreams, already backed by an upfront pre-approval at Movement Mortgage. Call Chris today at 704-277-4463 or find Chris at www.themortgagegenius.com. Go into the game prepared with Chris Reshatar of Movement Mortgage.
When choosing an insurance agency, you want a company you can trust. We are an independent insurance agency that can protect your personal assets, including your home, your business assets, as well as health and insurance needs. A true one-stop solution provider. We do not work for an insurance company. We work for you. As an independent insurance agency, our duty is to our clients' best interests. It is our responsibility to provide you the best service and the best coverage at the best possible price. You will have the added benefit of working with agents who understand your needs. After visiting our website, we will schedule an exploratory appointment to discuss your specific needs. Please visit our website at www.movementinsurance.com. That's www.movementinsurance.com.
Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host of Reshair Radio. I'm having a hard time here this morning. But if you were just tuning in here for the first time, we really talk about financial matters. And this week on our show, we've got Kathleen Mclain here from RE/MAX Executive. And we're really talking about getting your home ready to sell, and maybe what are some of the things that you can do if you need some staging help. Kathleen is not just an expert realtor, but a staging consultant all at the same time. So it's kind of a 2-for-1, Kathleen, right?
Absolutely.
2-for-1. So really step two, we were talking in the process, is really kind of getting you out and doing that sort of staging and decorating consultation appointment. What does that evaluation look like when you go out to somebody's home?
Okay. So we go room by room. I actually have them show me around and talk about their home. So I'm trying to get a feel for who they are, you know, and what their belongings look like. and I try to keep my mouth shut while we're
That's
walking.
the tough one there.
That is tough.
While we're walking through the house. And what I'm looking for is how, if they have a flow of color and style in the house, and if they don't, how, I'm actually looking for pieces of furniture. Can I take a hutch from a living room and put it in a dining room, or a hutch from,
Sure.
often people crowd up their foyer or their entryway, and that's not good. So yeah, it's room by room. And I'm looking for color. I'm looking to declutter is a big biggie.
Flow.
I'm looking for art and furniture placement, balance and flow evaluation. And then when we come back around, we circle back around, and then then I start talking. and again, I let them know that there's nothing wrong with the way they have their furniture placed, or the colors that they have, or the things that they've chosen for their house. But there is a certain way that the house needs to look for staging. And what we need to create is a feeling of wow.
Cool.
We really need to create fantastic, which is one of my favorite words. And so that people are bowled over. There's actually in the neuroscience. So when people see things that are aesthetically pleasing, there are chemicals that rush to the brain and create these feelings of ease and joy and love and peacefulness. And
Sure.
People don't even understand.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Sometimes why they like something, but so that's what we're trying to create. Yeah, and it's fun. I love it. I love doing that transformation.
That's cool. And it's fun that I think it's pretty cool that you're able to sort of play both roles, right? Because I think a lot of realtors will go in and do the consultation evaluation, but I see, not all, but I see most of them say, well, let me connect you with my staging person, right?
Yep.
And so it sounds really cool that you're able to kind of get in there and do some of that stuff with them. Preston.
I have a question, Kathleen.
Yeah.
And I know what you're talking about when you go, because sometimes when we go in the inspection, I'm seeing the pink, I'm like, oh. But I do have a question. When you have, like, you walk in and it's too personal to them, which the other people aren't going to be able to vision themselves. And have you ever showed them what the competition is, or
Absolutely.
How do you do that?
Absolutely. Well, I go to we just use my MLS system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which has
so you'll pull it up on the
pictures, yeah.
computer and show them the other
Yeah.
homes.
I wanted to back up just one sec, though,
Go ahead.
because I don't just do staging for myself and my clients. I do staging for all the agents at RE/MAX Executive and agents outside of the RE/MAX system. And
Cool.
So it's not just something I do for
Just
my
for
own.
your own clients. Well, that's great. I wasn't aware of that, so I appreciate you sharing that. So let's kind of go through what are some of the must-dos when you're working and staging your property.
Okay. So I always start with the hard part first, which is decluttering. And I start with what I tell them is start with the project you want to do the least, which is usually an attic or a basement.
Right.
Okay. Or a storage
Garage
building.
or something big.
Yeah. So, and then once you get those spaces cleared out, then you have you've created, and it's usually several loads to the Goodwill.
Right.
Yeah. So
it starts getting easier the more you.
right. So yeah. So but
Could be a dumpster involved, but go ahead.
we then you want to thin out the closets and the overcluttered areas.
Okay, so
and-
step 2 is really just thinning things out.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
It's almost 98% of the time people have accumulated way too much stuff, and it makes the house look small and overcrowded and unpleasing.
Yeah, and it's amazing how that happens because it seems like there's a Target bag that drops in the house just about every day. The kids come home from school with projects and papers, and next thing you know, it's like a month later, it's like, where is all this stuff coming from?
Looks
right?
like a Cracker Barrel gift shop.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, well,
it happens without even realizing it.
Well, it can get really personal, and this is where my college degree comes into play. It's my degree in psychology. Same
degree. Hello, high five.
that I never that I never got a master's in. So anyway, people need personal support with this.
Yeah, it's tough.
And what I have become quite masterful in is helping people let go.
Tell them to watch a couple episodes of Hoarders.
Yeah. So lucky me. I occasionally I will have a hoarding mentality, but that's really, I mean, the people you see on the TV show, they need somebody with a PhD.
Yeah.
Right. They need medication.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So step number 2 is really just kind of thinning out and cleaning out other areas of the home that are cluttered. What would the third sort of must do be?
Well, most often we need some repainting jobs, and so color would be the third step. And you want to make sure that the primary areas of the home with the most with the most appeal are up to the current colors. And look, hey, paint is cheap. So I tell people, I'll give them some recommendations on color, and then I have them buy a tiny sample and put it on the wall, to make sure that they like it. If they need that much support. If not, most of the people just go with the colors that I recommend. But there is emotion involved in color too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think. And my wife is relatively gifted in this department because almost every friend that comes into the home for the first time, she literally has a list of her paint colors on a piece of paper because she gets asked all the time, what's that color? And I need that color. And so it's amazing how, some people just really have a knack for that color because they come in and go, I feel good in this space, right? The color does have emotional importance, I believe. So. All right, so let's go to the next must-do on our list, Kathleen.
All right, so we want to strategically place the furniture so that that walkways are open and that it looks spacious and that the room looks balanced. Again, oftentimes I'll go into someone's home and they have 4 pieces of really heavy wooden furniture all on one side of the room, and then 2 tiny chairs on the other side. So it looks very asymmetrical. So I'm a balance girl. That's one of my features is I like to keep things in balance. And again, it is emotionally pleasing to the brain to see things in balance like that. So furniture placement is the next step, and then art placement.
All right. So the next must do is figuring out where to put your art, or if you have it, maybe make sure it's in the right spot, right?
So, and what I see here is often art is placed too high. And I'm just going to blame that on the guys.
What are you saying?
Well, men are taller. And so, they see it from a taller perspective. But actually, you want to make the art depending on where what room it is. So if you're in a room where you're doing a lot of sitting, a TV room or a den, you want the art a little bit lower, okay? Because if you're doing most of the time in the room is sitting, you want that to be aesthetically pleasing while you're sitting.
Right. Okay, so, that makes sense.
Sure.
So the other thing that I find with art that is a little faux pas is that it's spread all over the room. You want to keep art in groupings. Okay, so and again, it's for ease of viewing. So and again, it makes sense to the brain to have say if you have a collection of the same artist. Instead of having it one plopped here and one plopped there, a grouping can be nice. So,
hey, that's stuff I wouldn't have ever thought of. I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah. So, that's it about art and furniture.
And then really the last step you have on our key components here of must-dos is balance and flow. Why don't you talk to us briefly about that?
Well, we want to evaluate each room, but create a continuous flow from room to room. So, and all of this together sends that the message that the home is well cared for and well loved.
Okay. So, and really, you're going to be the one helping your clients, our listeners do this, because this is stuff that I haven't really thought about. And obviously other people haven't too, Kathleen. So, absolutely, we definitely want to make sure that you can connect with Kathleen. All you need to do is give me a phone call at 704-277-4463. That's 704-277-4463. Just text me and say, I need Kathleen. That's all I need. And I will make sure that we connect. I connect you with Kathleen the beginning of the week, and she'll reach out. She'll come out, evaluate your home, whether you're getting ready to sell your home, or even if you've recently purchased the home and you're just trying to figure out, how do I make this feel great? I have friends and neighbors and friends that you go into houses and they're amazing, and maybe you don't have that talent, and that's okay. That's what Kathleen can help you with. So you really shared some great information here. What I'd like to do is take a quick break. We've got one more segment here with Preston Sandlin from Home Inspection Carolinas, and then we'll wrap up the show for the week. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is Chris Reshatar, your host of Reshair Radio. As a mortgage professional, we interact with several industry-related professionals, and we see the good, the bad, and the ugly. When I have a choice to select a closing attorney, either to purchase or do a refinance, I choose John Ringer with Hutchins Law Firm. He is a legal professional, and he covers commercial and residential transactions. More than just a closing attorney, John wants to be your attorney for life. He can provide you insights you need to make accurate and informed legal decisions. As a Charlotte native, John has witnessed the tremendous growth and development of our city and region. As a part of Hutchins Law Firm with more than a quarter century of experience and 400 years of collective combined legal experience, they have what you're looking for. They have offices in Charlotte, Fayetteville, Wilmington, and Columbia, South Carolina. Please give John a call if you need an attorney, the right attorney, at 980-275-9810. That's 980-275-9810. Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar, licensed loan officer with Movement Mortgage. And each and every week, if you've never listened to Reshair Radio, we're just sort of wrapping up our segment for this week. We try to bring interesting hot topics related to finance, real estate, mortgage, whatever it might be, how you care for your home, how you care for your credit, whatever it might be. So, in our earlier segments, we had a credit repair guy, Adam Kunda, on. We've had Kathleen Mclain talking over the last couple of segments on staging and design and how she can help your home, look better if you're wanting to sell it or even just hang out in it and enjoy it for long term. We now have Preston Sandlin, Home Inspection Carolina, man. He's the king. We're going to share some topics with really kind of how to care for a pool. Summertime's coming up around the corner. I think our pool just opened up in our neighborhood. I could hear the kids splashing around, the music playing loud. So, Preston, welcome back as always. Why don't you jump in and kind of tell us what you brought for our listeners today in terms of this care for pool maintenance, etc.
Okay. Well, I'm primarily talking today about safety. With the pool being back in gear.
Safety's even better.
Yeah, it's been hot, although it's been really nice the past 2 days. But I think it's supposed to get back. It was like 50 yesterday morning, but it's getting back to the 90s. But we do pool inspections, and, there's a whole lot of maintenance stuff we can get into, different types of filtration and all that. But beginning of the summer, and maybe some kids have grown a little bit, and they want to swim and whatnot. I think safety is what I want to address first. So that's what I was going to talk about today: safety with the pool. So when we inspect a pool, a residential pool, and if you have a pool in your backyard, you may want to go check to make sure you have these things, that you're compliant. You have to have a 4 foot or 48 inches enclosure all the way around the pool, and that's measured from the outside. So if you're on some type of hill or it's on a plate, it has to meet that measurement from the outside.
Like a fence, you're really talking about.
Oh yeah, okay. Exactly, a fence, so that a small child can't get over it or something like that. Now, with that said, there's a couple of other caveats. There can, be an opening at the bottom, but it can only be 2 inches if you're over a non-solid surface, gravel, ground,
grass,
something like that. Now, if the fence is concrete, it can be 4 inches. Okay.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is,
well, that's interesting, because I guess they're just trying to maintain that someone can't squeeze under
and,
there.
And I guess they could, if it's a dirt or something, they could, dig, or I don't know, my dog could get under it too. And pets are,
Kids.
obviously we don't want someone to drown. I mean, the name of this game is that a child cannot get to the pool unattended, that cannot swim. Okay, a couple of other things. If you have a gate, which obviously you're going to have a gate somewhere, it has to be, number one, it has to be self-latching. And that means when you open the gate and if you let go of it, it has some type of spring mechanism that brings it back, and then it automatically
has to latch all the way, not just come close, but all the way latch.
Right, and the latch needs to be on the interior, not on the outside, on the interior. So, like I said, it has to be self-latching, some sort of spring mechanism it would close automatically if you let go of it, and the latch has to be on the inside. Now, a couple of other things to say about that. The fence, the gate, has to open away from the pool, not towards the pool, away from the pool.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I've sort of gone round and round. I've asked a couple of different people why that is, like the code guy, and I've got a couple of different answers, but I know it does have to be that way.
My guess is so that if someone's pushing on, they can't push it open somehow inward, If there's something like a kid pushing in, but hey, who am I to say?
There was a situation we inspected this pool where it was a catch-22 because it needs to open outward, but there's steps there, and you're not supposed to open outward
on steps because you can fall backwards, right?
Without a certain amount of landing.
I can see how that'd be tricky.
But anyway, a couple other things. Here's kind of the big one, and it's sort of new, but it's a good one. If there are any doors from the house going out to the pool, everybody with me? The back door, whatever. It's usually going to be a back door that goes out patio, to the pool area. Yeah. There has to be an alarm on that door. And I'm not talking about the alarm that's your
CPI security in the house.
Correct. It cannot be that. It has to be a separate alarm. And it's just attached
never
to
heard of that.
I never heard of that either.
Yeah, it's newer. We built a pool last year, and it was a surprise to me, and I looked it up. I think it's different counties adopted it, but it's pretty much universal now. And it's a separate alarm, and it's a good thing. As soon as you open that door, it is high-pitched. It's like, one of those Roadrunner Wildy Coyote deals. Because they did a study, 85% of the fatalities with the child they thought the child was in the house. Child got outside and they had no idea. And again, you cannot use your CPI or ADT or whatever. That's
not a home security system,
this is
but a door alarm.
Yeah, and it has the whole mechanisms right there. We actually had to have two, one from the living room and one from the master bedroom that goes on there. Now, there is a button on it that you push, it's like an override, and it's taller, so the child can't reach it. So for 15 seconds, you can get out without
and shut that door real quick.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you, a lot of people disable it, and a lot of people, because there's not that button on the other side. So when you come back in, it goes off. And you can turn it off, but you're not.
The whole point is to protect your family.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is kind of a new thing. But it is required. A lot of people disable it. I would not recommend it if you have small children, or if you're a grandparent and small children are going to be staying with you, in the summer or something like that. It actually is a good thing.
No, do you? I know you'll go out and inspect this to make sure they're compliant. But does your company actually help them put that alarm in, or do you usually refer that out?
I usually refer that out, but we'll test it, to see if it's working and that sort of thing. Couple other things with the pool. Just make sure that, like I said, the big thing with the latch, you shouldn't be able to reach the latch a child shouldn't be able to reach over the latch. It has to be at least 3 inches down from, on the inside of the pool. It has to be at least 3 inches down. You don't want it right up at the top. And there's a couple of other things, but I'll put the entire list up on. There's a lot of kind of technical this and that, but those are the broad strokes of what it has to do. But basically, we're trying to keep a small child. When I think of small child, I'm thinking toddler.
Yeah,
that's mobile and curious, but not yet able to swim.
Doesn't know better.
And we definitely do not want that mobile toddler child around the pool with the parent not knowing it or not zoomed in on exactly what's going on.
And it happens. When I lived in Allison Park here in Charlotte just a few years back, one of the neighbors had a party, and there was a pool next door, and the kids were running around the neighborhood, and going in and out of that. Somehow the child got in to the pool and passed away. It was very devastating.
Wow.
But these things are real. I mean, that's why we bring topics important like this to the show, because we want our listeners to be educated, not just with, I've got a gate and I've got a latch, but gosh, I didn't know I needed a door alarm and to be sort of compliant with today's standards. And so hopefully our listeners are taking notes and learning from some of the things that we're talking about. So now, if you're hearing anything that is of interest to you, whether it's the credit repair stuff we talked about in the first segment, staging and real estate with Kathleen, or even with Preston Sandlin with home inspection components of your day-to-day life, you need to give us a call here on the show. The number is 704-277-4463. That's 704-277-4463. And just text me and say, I need that Adam guy to fix my credit. I need Preston to help get my home inspection done, or I need Kathleen to help sell my home or stage my home, whatever it might be. And I'll make sure these professionals get connected back to you. We're trying to add value to your life. Hopefully, as you're driving down the road, on the way to Sunday brunch, whatever it might be, that you're gaining knowledge that you didn't have. And we want to make sure that word gets out and that you're supporting the people that support our show. So, Preston, is there anything else that you wanted to share in terms of home inspections and the topic that we talked about, or how maybe you need to kind of give them your website and so forth, and they can get more information about how to use your services?
Sure. Well, our website is homeinspectioncarolina.com. We also have one called askthecharlotteinspector.com. And I'll put all this stuff up about swimming pools up on the website. And there's a lot of other lists on there that would be helpful, like with Kathleen. And I've got if you go to the realtor resource section, there's what the inspector is going to be looking for, like a pre-inspection checklist to go through.
Yeah, so the seller can kind of know what to expect.
Absolutely.
What should I kind of maybe have ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to pipe in here. I often recommend to my clients that they have a pre-inspection on their home. Right.
Absolutely.
Instead of waiting for the buyer to bring his inspector
and drop the bomb.
Yeah. Well, and you're exactly right, Kathleen. And the thing is, if you get it pre-inspected, you find out you have a rotten band seal. Well, now you've got time to get multiple estimates, get the best, repair done, and, get that taken care of for the least amount of money instead of being forced into it. Not only that, but, Kathleen mentioned, people are very emotional about buying a house. They fall in love with it. You want them to stay in love with it. And sometimes they get that,
not freak out.
They get that buyer's inspection report that can cause a breakup. But if you have the pre-inspection done, you get all that stuff taken care of, and they stay in love. Which is what we want.
Good counsel. So, all right, Kathleen, we're going to turn the time over to you here before we wrap up our show. First of all, thanks for being a guest on the show. It's been great to have you here in the studio and you share some of your knowledge. What might our listeners need to know about how to contact you for a staging consultation and maybe your special offer for just our listeners here today?
Yeah, so give me a call at 704-517-5325. And I'll offer 50% off of my staging consultation if you mention the show. And also,
wow, that's great.
Yeah, and you know what? I also want to throw out another offer that has to do with Preston. If you use Preston for a pre-market inspection, if you're listing with me, I will pay for that at our closing.
Oh, wow. That's
well, I want to add, if you, I'll add it back. I know we're running out of time.
To you.
And I will offer a $35 discount if you use Kathleen as your realtor. I mean, even like a normal inspection.
Okay, I've never seen quite this one up. And I'll give you a lender closing cost if you use me for the mortgage. How about that? Lender credit. But nonetheless, I just wanted to make sure that our listeners know that we're trying to help you. We care about you. We want you to make good decisions. We've got great experts here on the show each and every week. We want to thank you for really listening to what we have to offer. And like I said here earlier, amazing offers they're putting out. So if you have any real estate needs, home inspection needs, we've got the people here in the studio for you. The number again is 704-277-4463, 704-277-4463. Thanks to the two of you for being on the show, and we hope our listeners have a great week. See you next time. This is Chris Reshaar, your host of Reshair Radio. As a mortgage professional, we interact with several industry-related professionals, and we see the good, the bad, and the ugly. When I have a choice to select a closing attorney either to purchase or do a refinance, I choose John Ringer with Hutchins Law Firm. He is a legal professional and he covers commercial and residential transactions. More than just a closing attorney, John wants to be your attorney for life. He can provide you insights you need to make accurate and informed legal decisions. As a Charlotte native, John has witnessed the tremendous growth and development of our city and region. As a part of Hutchins Law Firm with more than a quarter century of experience and 400 years of collective combined legal experience, they have what you're looking for. They have offices in Charlotte, Fayetteville, Wilmington, and Columbia, South Carolina. Please give John a call if you need an attorney, the right attorney, at 980-275-9810. That's 980-275-9810.
Sports fans know that the key to winning the big game is going in prepared. Right now, houses are selling fast. So if you're in the market for a new home purchase, don't just be prepared, be Movement Mortgage prepared. Charlotte's leading mortgage lender, Chris Reshatar at Movement Mortgage will tee you up with a free, fully underwritten, upfront pre-approval. Shop for the home of your dreams, already backed by an upfront pre-approval at Movement Mortgage. Call Chris today at 704-277-4463 or find Chris at www.themortgagegenius.com. Go into the game prepared with Chris Reshatar of Movement Mortgage. You've been listening to Reshair with Chris Reshatar, a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant with Movement Mortgage, equal housing lender. Originator license number 117266. Learn more online at themortgagegenius.com.